Y'all, I am completely gutted. This episode done took me up and through there, up and through there. You hear me? This episode, oh my, it just broke my heart. It just broke my heart. It absolutely broke my heart. Y'all, as you all are coming in, please hit that like button and also consider subscribing. And once you subscribe, you'll be open to all the movie and television shows that I have uh reviewed for this channel. So right now, currently, I am reviewing Paradise, Cross, and now I've picked up Monarch Legacy of Monsters, the Legacy of Monsters. So those are the three. I'm caught up on everything but Paradise. So once I finish that, I'm definitely going to go over there. I know a lot of y'all come over here and ask me about Bel Air. The only thing that I'm going to be able to do with Bel Air is just basically do a big summary one day. So maybe I'll just do a live and just do a good summary on what's going on with Bel Air. Because I am behind and I know that series is over with. So that would be the only thing. And I'm just going to put that on the back burner since that series is over with. And these are the series right now that are active. So I'm going to spend more time doing that. But I'm still going to do it because I promised you that I will. But until I get caught up with all these things, is when I'll dedicate some time to Bel Air. But listen, this whole episode gutted me. Do you hear me? This whole episode gutted me. And let's go on and talk about this episode because remember Annie, we're back at Graceland with Annie and Xavier. And Annie, you remember through the last episode that we had with Annie and Xavier, she said that she wanted to go to Colorado. And Xavier says, I've got to go to Atlanta before I go to Colorado. So you can come with me to go to Atlanta and then we'll get to Colorado. And she was like, cool. Right. But we knew that Annie was having some blood pressure issues. But let's continue. So the episode opens up with Link and them, you know, the group that came to the Graceland and was with Annie for a couple that Link who got Annie pregnant. Uh, they're in their little conclave, their little, you know, there's their little tent city. And there was supposed a train was supposed to come through, but the train is stalled. And the guy says, you know what, we can't wait any longer. We're going to have to leave and we're going to have to leave today. So they're heading out to Colorado. So they're packing up everything, tent city. And baby, when you look at all they have, they've got buses, they have cars, they have makeshift, all this other stuff. So they have enough vehicles to take them and stuff. And so I guess not only do they have the vehicles, they have the gas to be able to power all of these vehicles, which is interesting to me. But I guess if you run to a gas station, there ain't no car, ain't no cars to fill it up. So they should if they can get to a gas station and fill up all the cars, they'll be fine. um I still haven't figured out who Alex is and who is Alex that they want to prune from the timeline. Who is Alex? Because the only Alex I know of was Henry Miller's wife, Alex. Is it her? But I thought Henry euthanized her. But we'll continue because it's a lot of connections and things going on because the group wants to get to this particular group and particularly Link. I have looked at Link and have realized that Link is the guy that was Henry Miller's partner. He is the guy that Sinatra sent William Pace to prune from the timeline so that she could build paradise. He's the kid. He's the guy. So, okay, let's continue. So, Xavier wakes up. We're going to get back to Annie and Xavier at Graceland. He wakes up. He sees he's cuffed to the bed. Annie uncuffs him to the bed, uncuffs him from the bed. They're talking about, she's asking them more and more questions about this Colorado and all this other stuff. But, Annie is afraid of people. She's afraid to get out. She's afraid to do anything. And she tells him he needs to get up and move that knee and move a little bit so it'll be better. But you remember Xavier was stabbed as well. She cleans his wound up. She told him that she had to put stitches on his spleen and she had to put those stitches on. She's explaining to him to do his best wound care if she can. Remember, if I can touch it and it hurts, it's not healed yet. She's asking him a lot of questions like, how was your wife in Atlanta and you were in Colorado? He basically said that this is the cities that we were in when the cataclysm happened. And so he explained that's when the cataclysmic happened. She's asking more questions about the bunker. He explains. He says that he's got to get to Atlanta to get to his wife. She says, no, we're going to Colorado because she wants to have her baby in Colorado with her baby's dad. He's like, we're going to go to Atlanta first and then we'll go to Colorado. So it's about 2 weeks and everything like that. But we see some things going on with Annie. First, we see that her feet are swelling and we see that her blood pressure is high. She's been checking her blood pressure and her blood pressure has been running around 140, 130, whatever it is. And so that signs to me that there's an issue in the problem with the pregnancy. And she realizes there's an issue in the problem with the pregnancy. And Xavier sits with her and he explains the up and down of being a parent. And she's like, she's kind of scared, but he's like, you're going to always be scared. It's just going to be a different set of fears. When they're young, when they're babies, you're going to be worried about whether or not they get enough food, whether they eat, you can change them, all these little different things. But then they get older and then there's a whole new set of fears. He says, you never stop being afraid, but there's always joy in between that because you're going to be enjoying them growing up. So 2 weeks pass, and today's the day. And Annie musters every bit of courage that she had to leave Graceland. So she left Graceland, and they're headed for Atlanta. Now, what's interesting is that they went to a church, and she's fixing her pallet on the floor, and the ID card that Link gave Annie, Xavier looks at it and he's like, I recognize this kid. He doesn't tell Annie that he recognizes, but he's like, I recognize him. He sees him somewhere. Where he sees him, I don't know, but he recognizes him. But he doesn't say anything. And then Xavier has a flashback to 3 years ago when they were in the bunker, and then a lady named Louisa has the first baby born in the bunker. Cal, who was the president then, he's all excited. He's like, listen, this is the first baby born in the bunker. This baby's not going to have any memory but down here being in the bunker while everybody else has memories about what happened before. This is a fresh start. This is a new hope, all of these different things. Louisa's excited because Louisa's husband, you remember when the episode 1 happened and they had Congress on a plane and then that plane got torn down by a storm or whatever, the little stuff that was coming out of the sky? Well, her husband was on that particular plane. So Cal feels, he just feels like responsible for her and wants to be there for her and everything because she's basically by herself. She goes in to have a baby, but what happens is there's some complications. They have to have a C-section. So he goes in, he sits with her, making sure that she's okay. He's talked to her. Cal was just a overall a good guy, basically. Fun loving and everything like that. He gives me the, I guess, the impression of how George W. was overall decent, but still problematic. Wanting to start wars when it's unnecessary. But I digress. So Louisa gives birth, and she gives birth to a baby boy. Cal talks to Sinatra about the importance of that baby. Sinatra kind of poofs him off, but then she comes to the hospital and she sees, yeah, it is a certain level of hope. So she goes over to Louisa's house and she tells her that, hey, I just want to tell you, I'm here to support you. So Louisa asks, could you watch the baby while I sleep for an hour or so? So Sinatra says, cool. So Sinatra sits there and she tells little baby Calvin, the baby's named Calvin after the president. She tells little baby Pat that I promise you, you're not going to grow up and live your whole life down here in this bunker. You know what's going to happen? I've got a plan. We're all going to go up to the surface and you're going to see the sun. You're going to see all of these different things. I have a plan. And so we get to present day. So on the way to Atlanta, Xavier is, making sure that Annie is okay, and he's teaching her things. He's teaching her how to swallow babies, and again, he's continually encouraging her. Hey, you're gonna be okay. So they get ready. They spend the night at this place called a waffle place, something house of waffles. And Annie had said, "Oh, I would love to have a waffle," And so it was so funny that they got to this place. But while she's in this place and while she's leaving, they're getting ready, prepared to leave, her water breaks. And I failed to mention that as they were coming, they went past people who were on the road. And Annie is so scared of folks. She's like, don't make any eye contact. Don't do this, don't do that. And they pass by these people, but Xavier's like, hey, how y'all doing? That freaked Annie out. That truly, truly freaked Annie out. So anyway, as we continue on, her water breaks. So they go back into the restaurant, and she's like, you need to get me all of these. She's yelling out all these different things that he needs. And he goes into the restaurant and he's looking around. uh Everything is old and moldy and all kinds of stuff. There's really no, because I guess it must have been looted, because there's really not anything there. So he tells Annie, look, you need to stay here. Your contractions are only a certain amount apart. I'm gonna go up the road. It's only a half a mile up the road. I'm gonna go and see if we can get some help. And she's like, no, you don't trust them. You don't know these people. They're not gonna help you. Da, 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 da. So he takes off running. I'm like, that knee don't hurt now. But he takes off running. He goes up to the house. When he gets to the house, there's nobody there. He goes in and he's trying to take some stuff. This young man comes and pointing to a gun to him. Then he wrestles the guy to the ground. And then the older man comes and he points his gun to Xavier. We don't see it, but somehow, some way, Xavier explains to him what's happening. Xavier comes. The man goes into the waffle thing with the gun. Annie sees him and freaks out, like, I don't have anything. I don't have anything. Please, please don't hurt me. Don't hurt me, please. And it ends up all these people are coming in because they have a little community up there, and they help Annie birth her baby. Well, Annie gives birth to the baby, and it's a beautiful little big bouncy baby girl. Um, Now Annie has also written something with crayons on a paper, and but anyway, I don't know why she did that, but she did it. But I think Annie knew, y'all, and this is what gutted me. They were trying to get the placenta out, and it was stuck. And Annie was bleeding profusely. And Annie, they were trying very hard. One lady was trying to pull the thing out, and Annie told her no. Annie was like, no, stop, stop. And Xavier's like, what can y'all do? Y'all can do something. Can y'all help her? Can I help her? And Annie was like, listen, my blood pressure was high. I had preeclampsia. Um, I knew that it was going to be a problem for me to birth this baby. I knew it would be a problem. But Xavier, I need for you to get my baby get to my baby daddy, because I want him to have the baby. And I trust only you. And baby, y'all, I was so good. Annie had just literally sat there and bled to death. Literally sat there and bled to death. And I was just gutted. Because I'm like, Annie, we spent all these episodes with you. And to think you didn't make it, you didn't even make it to Atlanta. I don't even know how far down the road they were. But I don't think that they were that far from Atlanta. They made, because they went from, where is Graceland? Graceland's in Tennessee, isn't it? And they made it, she didn't make it to Atlanta with her baby. Oh, I was so good. Annie died, and I was just like, man, that wasn't, why y'all have us build us up with this character of Annie, and then y'all kill her off like that? I was too upset, and I was gutted too. Let me continue. I don't know what the baby's name is. He just calls the baby Annie's baby. He stays in the commune for a good little while, just to get some things together and supplies. He's having difficulty with Annie's horse because Annie's horse does not want to leave her gravesite. That horse sits there by that gravesite. That horse is not thinking about Xavier. And as they get to he holds Annie's baby outside, and the horse sniffs the baby and realizes that's part of Annie, and then he cooperates with Xavier. So Xavier gets on the horse, and he makes it to Atlanta. So hopefully he's going to see his wife Terry, because she did send messages from Atlanta. Y'all, this episode good at me. I was expecting Annie to make it to the bunker, but all roads lead to the bunker. I think I'm gonna have to do a timeline for this because there's so many different moving parts going on with this, but everything leads to Colorado, and everything seems, the problems that are going on in Paradise seems to be leading from Sinatra pruning Henry Miller from the timeline. I believe Sinatra had Driscoll prune William from the timeline. I believe that with all my heart and soul. I just do. And that's why I was going back through the season 1, because I wanted to make sure that I remembered like who all the people got pruned. And so I'm going to have to do a timeline for this. But y'all, RIP to Annie. What do y'all think about this episode? This episode was heavy. It gutted me. So Xavier and Annie's baby is on the way to Atlanta. He's made a promise to Annie that he's going to get her baby to Colorado to her dad. You think he's going to make it? You think he's going to find Terry? You think he's going to be able to take Terry and Annie's baby to Colorado? Y'all let me know down in the comments. All right, people, we do this every week. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video if you care. Y'all, Paradise is so good. And I hope you all are watching along with me. All right. Please tell a friend, tell a kin, tell a coworker, tell that heifer that you can't stand that I'm over here making these videos. And as always, people, bye-bye.